Hey there movie fans, I'm John Andersen, and concluding my series on the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, we already took a look at The Curse of the Black Pearl, Dead Man's Chest, At World's End, and On Stranger Tides, which if you haven't seen my reviews of those films, be sure to click the card above for a link to the playlist. And now with that out of the way, let's look at the supposed final chapter in the Pirates franchise. Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales is a very elongated title to this film franchise that spanned close to 15 years. I had very little anticipation for this film as I wasn't the biggest fan of On Stranger Tides, but from the promotional material it did look like they were returning to their roots and putting more emphasis on tying this film to the original trilogy, which gave some hope to the Pirates fan in me. Dead Man Tell No Tales once again follows Captain Jack and company who are in search of the Trident Poseidon while being hunted by Captain Salazar, who has it out for a certain Sparrow. Now from that long line, it's apparent that this film shares uncanny similarities to the previous films, where Jack's being hunted by an undead crew, and follows a very convoluted plot where they're in search of a MacGuffin, which has definitely become a little tiresome, but for me, especially after the first film, I don't go into a Pirates film for the plot, I go for the colorful characters. Johnny Depp returns as Jack Sparrow, who once again does very Jack Sparrow things, almost coming off as a caricature of his former self, missing that air of cleverness to his over-the-top nature.
Jack, move! I'm so sorry, were you still talking?
Jeffrey Rush also returns as Barbossa, who is one of my favorite elements of the film and the franchise as a whole. When he really gets into his piratey mannerisms, it looks like he's having a blast, and is the emotional crux of this film, solidifying his importance in the franchise. Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley also return in basically glorified cameos, but are a welcome addition to the film, giving fans a key sense of closure left from the third film. Their appearances do come off a little hokey at times, but is still more fulfilling than not having them in the film at all. The majority of the crew of the Black Pearl and other recurring characters make their return as well, with the exceptions of Patel and Righetti. The presence of this familiar cast is refreshing after their apparent absence from the last film for no real rhyme or reason. Newcomers Henry and Katrina are a fun new love interest that capture elements from the Will and Elizabeth dynamic that fit organically into the plot, unlike the very forced relationship we got in the fourth film. Javier Bardem joins the cast as our main villain Salazar, who's definitely the most compelling villain we've had since Barbossa in the first film. His hatred for Jack Sparrow is made very clear in that flashback sequence we've seen in the trailers that features a de-aged Johnny Depp that looks really good, but the one jarring aspect of this feature is that Depp voices the younger version of himself, which was a bit distracting. Joachim Rauning and Aspen Sandberg direct a very competent looking film that's aided by the epic pirate score, with some moments that do drag at times, but is ultimately missing that Gore Verbinski style that's become synonymous with the franchise. So overall, this is a Pirates film that brings more of the same to the franchise that feels more like the sequel we should have gotten after At World's End, instead of On Stranger Tides. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this one, but if you're not that big a fan, this film isn't going to win you over. And since I'm such a big fan of the franchise, I'm going to say ever so slightly that, for me, Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales is a really good movie. So those are my thoughts on Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to click right here to see my review of The Wall, and click over here to see my review of Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my social media links down in the description below. Until next time, don't forget to watch the movies.